Thanks for watching! If you like this video, be sure to read The Tale of the Order of the Blue Maiden. It's a high-flying adventure. Available now on Amazon, iTunes, Barnes & Nobles, and Kobo. You've never heard a tale like this. Rest in peace, Tim Hernandez, also known as Ponsry Pofferton. He loved medieval stuff and Star Wars. This one's for you, buddy. I came to Ahch-Chu because I thought the scenic vistas would inspire me to figure out what kind of lightsaber to build next. But so far, this place has just been a huge snooze fest. Wait a minute. I think the Force is trying to show me something. Finch! Oh, man!
You will bring me your stockpile of Imodium.
Huh? Oh, do you have pants or something? Can you cover up?
You're not doing this. The effort of making me your poop goat would kill you.
What's a poop goat?
Well, a poop goat is when you use the Force to, You know what? Never mind. Why is the Force connecting us? You and I.
Well, I was hoping the Force would give me some guidance on what kind of lightsaber to build.
Can you see my surroundings? I can't see yours. I'm not in the bathroom.
Could we speed this up? This video's already gonna be like 45 minutes long.
You have that look in your eye, like you think you're a monster.
I am a monster!
Prove it. Make this.
I don't know if I have the parts. I'll try.
Do or do not. There is no... I mean, let the past die. Kill it if you have to.
That didn't make a lick of sense, but I'm pumped.
You look for VHC parts everywhere. Resellers, dropshippers, in the garbage.
Ah, come on. AliExpress isn't that bad. I did it! I built... something.
Show me what you were meant to be. I gotta go.
Yeah. You should probably go. Oh. Okay guys, I'm really excited to show you some of my VHC saber parts. Now this is a box that I ordered from VireSabers.com. Okay, they're a really great company. I advise you to check them out. This is not a virgin unboxing, as it were. I've already opened this box and gone through some of the contents. And actually some of these did not come from Vire Sabers, although they are available. These are parts that I had previously that I had ordered from AliExpress, specifically from the LGT store. However, it's important to note that these parts are available on VireSabers.com. I actually regret not having discovered VireSabers.com sooner, because when you order stuff from AliExpress, it takes like a month and a half, 2 months, 3 months to get to you, because it has to come from Asia, from China, where it was manufactured. Vire Sabers has a bunch of this stuff on hand, and they'll ship it to you usually within a week. So they're really great. I really like working with them. The only hang up I have is that sometimes some of the parts they have, they don't have them in all of the colors that are available. For instance, there was a very limited supply of these parts. And this is actually 2 parts. This is the switch section, which is for a crossguard saber, and this is also the crossguard core. Now, I was trying to obtain this core separately from the switch section because I wanted a gold switch section, because, you know, everything that Lord Zerosone's has to be made out of gold. Unfortunately, as of the time of the writing of this video, they do not have gold crossguard switch sections in stock. So they only had these black ones in stock. And also because they have a limited number of these cores, they are only selling them together. Which is very weird, because on the LGT store, you can get the gold crossguard switch sections no problem. I don't know if it's worth the effort, because this looks like it's really built in there. Like, I don't know how I would even begin to start dismantling this and taking this apart to take the core out and then putting it into another switch section. Instead of doing that, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to actually paint this. So these parts add up to more than one saber. The one I wanna focus on today has to do with this crossguard. I've got a couple emitters here, grip sections, got my very cool pommel. I've got a couple of emitters here. So looking at these parts, I think that you can guess it's gonna be a greatsword. The aesthetic is gold and black. I specifically chose these fancy hourglass shaped grips in order to mimic a medieval style longsword. I'm very excited about this project. I think it's a little bit more complex than one might imagine, so we're gonna have to do a couple things. One thing is we're gonna have to paint this midsection here. We're gonna have to paint that gold. We also need to find a way to color this emitter and the silver parts of this pommel. You remember these guys? They're our old pals from Surfin Chemical. This is brass gold patina EDT 2020, parts A and parts B. You know, we didn't even need to use these chemicals right out of the bottle, because we actually have this surfeit of waste chemicals that we just stored away in this container. Well, mostly because I feel that, like, dumping these down the drain would constitute a war crime. Now we do have a couple of emitters to choose from. In the end, I think I end up going with this emitter, just because this emitter stylistically matches these other emitters. Not only that, but also this emitter only has 2 blade retention screw holes, okay? And they're both on one side, which I'm sure is fine enough. I have problems with my Forged Saber that only has 1 blade retention screw. That kind of ruined me on this style of emitter here. Another reason for me to choose this emitter overall is that this emitter actually has 1, 2, 3. Oh, I guess it's only 3. I was looking for 4. 3 blade retention screw holes. That makes it by far one of the most stable emitters that I have in my whole collection. So yeah, I think I'm gonna end up going with this one. Now, this part is available in gold, but you know, I don't want to drop another $22, $23 just for this one part, especially when I can just color it myself. I did want to mention that as far as I know, this pommel is not available with gold accents. So that's the first thing we're gonna do, is we're gonna take these parts and we're gonna get them the right color. All right, enough talk. Time for action. I would be remiss if I didn't mention this cool little Vire Sabers keychain that I got free with my order. Look at this thing. This thing is adorable. How many colors does it have? There we go. I like my spinning skills now, huh? Thanks, Vire Sabers. That's a really cool extra. What we're gonna do, because I have been handling them quite a bit, we're gonna degrease these parts, and we're gonna do that with some brush and clean that I got from our old friend Surfin Chemical. This is very easy enough. You just basically brush the stuff directly onto the metal. And you want to degrease the stuff because any application that we make to the metal might be masked unintentionally by the oil, you know, from our hands. I am kind of kicking myself because these did come from the manufacturer wrapped in plastic. It probably would have been the wise thing to leave it wrapped. Applying this stuff is really easy. You just brush it directly on there. I guess the important part is to get it really deep in the crevices and stuff. I wonder if my brush is actually creating part of this color that's kind of seeping off here. Yeah, there's color coming out of my brush, which means that I didn't wash my brush properly. So that's a no-no. All right, so I'm just gonna spray that stuff that I did earlier. Spray that off. Start again. Pour a little bit of brush and clean into the cap here. Okay, now we seem to be getting better results from our brush and clean. Now I'm just gonna spray this off. Now we're just gonna let that dry. All right, now to degrease our pommel. Fortunately, we only just need to degrease the surface that we're gonna color. All of this anodized part, I don't think is gonna be affected by our coloring. What's good about this stuff is that a little bit will go a long way. Hopefully we didn't contaminate it too much with that paint. Oh well, c'est la vie. Surfin la chemical. While we're waiting for those parts to dry, we're gonna do something dumb. We are going to try to apply a block print to our crossguard section here. Now, as I mentioned before, I do not want to take this thing apart. I mean, I probably should. This is all very complicated. I don't want to disassemble it and risk not being able to put it back together again. I don't think we'll damage anything. As long as we keep our lenses clean, we'll be fine. So to paint this, I'm going to be using our Stuart Simple acrylic Goldest Gold paint. I don't know if this is going to be successful because this is a curved surface, and trying to apply block print to a curved surface it's kind of idiotic. I don't know why I'm even trying. It's probably just going to end up looking like mush. But hey, You know what? It might not. There's not really a lot of paint in there. I don't want to be pouring it out. So I'm actually just gonna apply it directly. I'm just gonna take it straight from the bottle. Oh, and I kind of missed it. I think I missed it. I missed the center. It kind of looks cool. If we'd used a stencil, maybe it would come out a little nicer. That didn't really work. What I kind of wanted to do was get this pattern up in the corner. Nope, comes out like complete mush. Didn't really work. Let's try wiping it off. Nope, okay, oh well. All right, let's just paint it over. I suppose we could spray paint this, but that seems like it'd be too messy. This does seem like it's gonna require more than one coat of paint. We don't wanna get our button or our electronics covered. The screw's okay. Might have been a good idea to prime this first, I don't know. We are getting kind of a very cool black gold kind of a sheen on there. Actually, it kind of looks nicer on camera than it does in person. We're gonna have to let this dry before we can add any more, so. Okay, this next part's gonna be kind of harrowing because we're gonna be dealing with chemicals that I haven't even, looked at for like 3 or 4 years. I'm gonna open this up. And if I run outside, it's gonna be because there's gonna be all these fumes and I'm gonna have to get some fresh air. I am a little worried that this container is gonna break. Oh, okay. Okay, there's a container. Okay, I'm actually gonna just go ahead and open the door to the backyard. Actually, I'm probably just gonna go air this out for a second. We don't really wanna breathe this in. Oh, it's really deeply colored, the plastic container. I don't know if you can see that, but let's see. Wish me luck, okay? Actually, doesn't really seem to be doing too much. Okay, I thought this would be more dramatic. This is not having too much of an immediate effect. So, okay, we can afford to leave it in there for a second. Maybe agitate it a little bit. Actually, let's pull this out for a second. Oh man, that could have been bad. I'm gonna throw this in there again real quick. Oh yeah, see, there are the fumes. There are the fumes I remember. They're actually starting to look kind of nice. All right, we'll just leave that in for just a little bit longer. All right, I think I'm gonna pull this out now. We do want to rinse this off because we want the chemical to stop changing the color here. This worked perfectly. You saw it when it went in there. It was a nice, very nice silver. And now it's perfect gold. By the way, these chemicals work specifically with aluminum. If you saw one of my first videos, which was called A Pain in the Brass, You're Not the Boss of Me, you saw how I tried to use this on a steel shield boss. And it didn't really work all that well. I got either like a bright Mars red or like a dirty brown poop rust color. But now using this on aluminum, it works like a charm. Almost exactly the same as the pre-colored pieces that I purchased. I can really start smelling the fumes from this stuff, so I'm just gonna toss it in there, and then I'm gonna go outside, I'm gonna start agitating it. I'll be back in a minute, okay? See you soon. All right, so I must have been outside for a good, 15, 20 minutes. Something peculiar is kind of happening with this piece. It doesn't seem to be wanting to color as well as our other one did. I'm not sure what's going on with this. I'm gonna take this out and I'm gonna rinse it off. Maybe the chemicals got used up with that last interaction there. Maybe this one has some kind of treated surface. Something goes, we look at our other piece and that piece came out beautiful. I don't know why it's making me think of a roll of a Kodak film. Is anyone old enough to remember that? So all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do a cap full of part B here. Cap full of part B. Just gonna agitate these a little bit. It might not necessarily be a good idea to remix old chemicals, but the reason I'm putting them back in here is because I don't want to create more waste. And I'm just going to throw this back in there. Now it's got a little bit more solution in there to work with. Now I'm just going to lay this on its side and roll it like this. Still doesn't seem to be any progress here. I'm going to let this settle for a while and check on it in a few minutes. Still don't appear to be making any progress whatsoever. I'll put a little bit more in there. Okay, that was not good. I'm just gonna put this aside for the time being. I'm just gonna let that marinate for a while. Oh, I almost fell down. So compared to that, this is very simple by comparison. Rather than pouring it out onto a pallet or something, I'm just gonna take it directly from the bottle. This stuff is kind of pricey. It comes all the way from England. Stuart Semple's an interesting artist, you should look him up. He makes a cool thing called unicorn milk, which I kind of like. I haven't used it yet, but I've been meaning to. The problem with this, and a lot of other gold paints as well, I can't really single this one out, is that it takes a lot of coats to cover, just about any surface. Oh, see now, See, I'm painting this, and now, like, the first coat is now dissolving under the second coat, so you can't work it too hard, because then it'll fall apart. Don't get it on the lens, Iris. It's the one thing not allowed to do. Actually, it probably would have looked really nice with just a single coat over this black surface. It has a really nice reflective quality, but unfortunately, it's kind of too late. Kind of have to coat it a little more. Kind of have to let that dry a little bit. See how this is doing. Uh-oh. Something's happening. There's some kind of weird dark buildup on here that I don't like. It's not working the way I planned. This seemed to be resisting all of our efforts to color it. This part is starting to look a little bit shabby too. I saw that there was some kind of like little weird condensation forming on it, so I went ahead and wiped it, and then some of the colors seem to come off of it. So it does not look as vibrant as it did earlier. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix the solution and apply it directly rather than trying to use the stuff that was discarded previously. The last time I tried to mix this directly, I mixed it in an aluminum pan and it created kind of a little explosion. Not an explosion, but a reaction that was definitely unexpected. And I do always do these very unscientific pours. So let us apply it to this directly. Now, I should have used a clean brush. Use this fan brush, try to get as much on there as possible. Well, we're definitely getting a nice deeper color of magenta, that's for sure. I'm gonna give this one another coat too. I don't wanna let them sit for too long. I'm gonna go ahead and take these inside and rinse them off in the sink. I don't wanna squirt the water here because I don't wanna contaminate this solution that we've got going here. So I actually went on and rinsed these off. They actually seem to be doing a little bit better. Now what's kind of disappointing about this patina is that it always kind of ends up looking a little bit dingier, but the color is back. On our other piece, we actually did make a lot of progress. It actually does look a lot more gold than it did initially. So I'm gonna go ahead and do another application of this. Now hopefully this doesn't make it look too old and weathered. There's my cat. There's Luna. She wants to be in the video. Meow! She doesn't like it when I make fun of her like that. It's a really nice color. Really nice magenta. So I know the light kind of sucks in here, so I apologize for that. But rinsing these off is so visually satisfying that I just wanted to make sure that you got to see it. Take a look at this. There we go, see? It seems like leaving it under there for more time didn't really do a whole lot. It got a little bit more gold, but not really in the way I hoped. There's a little bit more, like, staining up here. There's a really big stain right here, really prominent stain here that doesn't look super good up close. I feel like the longer I leave it under the treatment, the more inconsistent it's gonna look. And the more like kind of aged and weathered it'll look. Which, you know, if you're into that, that's cool. But I think that's about as long as I want to leave it there because it's just gonna look worse and worse. You know, I think this is good. I think we can just move on from here. No, get out, Kitty, get out of here. Look at this. Who's this? Look at this invader. Look at this face. You gonna perform for us, Kitty? And she's just sniffing the microphone. Sing us a song. Sing us a song, you're the piano cat. No? It's gonna show us your butthole? Okay, don't eat that. That's dangerous. Don't eat that. I don't want her eating any of these chemicals. This stuff is not safe for consumption. None of that's gonna make it into the video anyway. Gosh, so painting this might turn into a multi-day affair. Just a matter of trying to get this to dry enough. Oh, now this brush is dried solid. Gotta go clean the brush now. I am running out of paint here. So you really do have to coat this. I don't know why that piece right there just does not want to stay covered. Let it rest high. Oh no. Despite everything we've done so far, there is more work to do, so stay with me. Alright, so we made a lot of progress on painting our parts here, but as you may have noticed that some of the colors are a little off. I painted the center part here, Stuart Semple's Gold is Gold, which is not a bad color, but not the best in terms of a match. And I really should have looked at some of the paints that I had, because I actually have an antique gold. It is a lot more subtle and kind of like has this washed out color that these other parts do. So this is probably a lot closer of a match than Stuart Semple's Gold is Gold. Okay, so I have a piece of 600 sandpaper here. I'm just gonna take down some of this texture that we've built up. Oh gosh, I don't know, maybe that might have been a mistake. So I do want to smooth this down. I want to get rid of some of these lumps that kind of built up on this part here. Texture has gotten very lumpy. Don't want that. This actually give it a way more matte appearance. The more I handle these, the more, you know, Ah, see what I mean? Ah, that scared the bejesus out of me. Alright, this towel's got just a tiny bit of water. We're just gonna wipe off the dust that we were sanding off here. Let's see, we got our antique gold color. So far, it does look a lot duller than the goldest gold, that's for sure. It is knocking down some of that intensity. Alright, so I might have painted myself into a little corner here because I've covered both sides here. I can't really put this down. And now I just gotta hold onto this thing like an ice cream cone until it dries a little more. Okay, well, I guess you don't need to watch that. You don't need to literally watch paint dry. I don't think I managed to bring down this color quite enough. It's still very, very defiantly kind of a yellowish gold here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some bright silver and I'm gonna mix it with some rich bronze. And the bronze is going to add the red that we need. It'll have a reddish tint. It might be a little bit too much red in there actually. No, well, Okay, let's add just the tiniest bit of antique gold here to the mix, just to bring us back to the center. I think we're pretty much there. I'm glad too, because I don't want this texture to build up anymore. I am tempted to scrape off some of that texture. It doesn't belong there. Scrape that off. Gives us a chance to put some more paint on there. That's kind of tricky. You want to kind of leave enough to color there. Don't want to build up more texture. And brush it a little bit to flatten it out. All right, so let's let that settle. Let's let that dry. All right, so we got this thing looking pretty good. We got our colors looking mostly how we want them, so it's time to start assembling this thing. All right, let's start with the handle. Now, the Saber Legion rules say that a greatsword like this can have a handle of 20 inches, and that is in the light exotics category. And in the heavy exotics category, it can be even longer. It can have something like a 40-inch handle or 44-inch handle, I forget. Always check the rules before you put something like this together. Planning for this is kind of stressful because you have to have the measurement of each piece in mind before you order it, and these things are not exactly cheap. You know, these handles could cost easily $22, $25. Some of them are like $30, $35. I had, initially I had planned to put this emitter at the end of this, because actually this emitter is kind of unique, because this emitter is one of the only pieces that has windows in it and also has a male part and a female part at each end. So I'm just gonna leave that off right now because it's gonna be a little hard to fit that on screen. You can already see this is coming together to look pretty good. Although you see though that these holes here are kind of in a weird place, but I guess it doesn't really matter. Look at that. So this is, right now, 17 inches. This could be a little bit longer, really. See, I think I added this emitter here. Let's just add it, see how it looks. See, I'd initially added this emitter down here, and I think that brought it to exactly 20 inches. I don't love it. I don't love this piece here. It just looks kind of weird, looks kind of out of place. See, I would add this emitter here, which would be a little bit more stylistically consistent, but the thing is that we have our core here, so having these holes wouldn't do us any good, because it would just show you the battery and the electronics and stuff, and that would be kind of ugly. With a piece like this, you want to add something interesting. I've been meaning to order some of those blade plugs that have little crystals in them, but I don't particularly like the way this piece looks here. I think I'll get a choke. A choke is about twice as long as this. It'll fit in right perfectly with this aesthetic. Something you might have noticed about these emitters on the side here is that they're all wonky. They're all cockeyed here. So we gotta do something about that. This is the perfect time to talk about timing shims. Now, timing shims are these tiny little razor-thin little rings you can purchase from sellers like Vire Sabers, or I think I got these from Crimson Dawn. And they're useful for exactly this purpose, for exactly when you have a piece that's kind of a little bit off kilter and you need to readjust its rotation, or its timing, rather, as it were. I want this piece to be facing this way. I guess it could go like this too, with the metal going on top, but I think that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I think it makes more sense for the piece to go like this, because you really want that lightsaber blade to be, facing outward towards your opponent. We screw this all the way in, it kind of goes a little bit too far. So this timing shim is gonna, well, let's just put it in there. So this is how you use these guys. They're very thin, so be careful, don't cut yourself. I'm gonna put 2 on there right now, because I know 1 won't be enough, because the amount that it alters your timing there isn't a whole lot. I mean, it's probably about like maybe 10, 15 degrees. That's not terrible. I think it needs 1 more. It's tilted down a little bit towards you. So this just takes some experimentation. That is looking pretty good. It's a little bit too much, but if we tighten this enough, it's hard to tell. All right, let's do the other one now. Now this one's gonna be a little bit more tricky, because the timing shim, what it does, it prevents the, the part from screwing in all the way. So what happens is that we can't bump it in the direction we want. We have to jam it up, so it's a 1 rotation less. So we're gonna be putting at least 4 in there. Maybe 5, 6, maybe even 8. Let's start with 4, because I get the feeling that 4 will kind of get us into the ballpark. Okay, well that has us completely opposite of where we want to be. Let's try 3 more. Not quite. Try 3 more. They kind of want to jump around like a slinky here. Oh, jeez. Oh, boy. See, this one just fell off right there. They don't want to settle down. Get on there, you wild child. How many are we up to now? 7, 8, 9, like 10? Okay, so now we've put too many. We're right back where we started. So let's remove a few of them. Okay, so that should be just 2 that we've removed there. So we should be up to 8 right now. I lost count. Okay, so let's add 1 more back. Let's add 1 more. Okay. I think we're up to 9 now. All right, so we have these emitters locked in there pretty tight. They're facing more or less the way we want them to. There's a certain point where you just can't fiddle with it anymore. I do like these emitters a lot. They are a bit on the long side. The rules of the Saber Legion say that metal cross guards can only be a maximum of 10 inches wide. In my view, this metal crossguard is only 8.5 inches wide, and that's because after 8.5 inches, the blade comes out and the blade is facing the opponent. However, if I go to a competition with this, they might measure it and say, hey, this is 11 inches wide, what gives? I may either have to change out the emitters, or what I might actually do is take these off and then shave some length off of these. They are made out of aluminum, so that should be kind of easy, I think. So I'll have to take this to a local marshal and see how they'll interpret that. If I do ever have to change these out, it might be a good idea to use some lubrication. I do have some synthetic lubricant. I purchased this from the Custom Saber Shop. On the Custom Saber Shop website, they specifically talk about how their parts need lubrication before you start putting them together, because they could get stuck and you could potentially damage them by trying to take them apart when they get stuck together. They won't cover that under their warranty, so be careful about that. These are LGT parts, a whole different story. I don't know how necessary it is to put the lubrication in there. You know, I did have a situation on my Mystic Knight where I had parts get stuck together after, you know, just 1 session of use, and I hadn't lubricated them at all, so it might be a good idea to lubricate these. So I'm gonna pull this out. I don't know how much lubrication this needs. You know, put too much lubrication and then your threads won't stick at all. They'll just keep flopping out, I imagine. I don't know. Kind of move it back and forth, kind of let it, because we do want them in there tight. See, it loops so well that we were able to get that in so deep that we actually need more timing shims now. 1 on each should do it. Hopefully they're not just falling out without me noticing. Really? I just added 1. Should not be that drastic of a difference. All right, let's just try 1 more on this side. Oh no! All right, so something interesting happened there. The side piece of this is actually coming out. Oh, okay, well that makes a lot of sense now. This post started unscrewing. I had no idea that this part could unscrew, so that's on me. I guess I'll just leave well enough alone there. I'll add some grease to this, because I got plenty of grease. Now, actually, a part I might want to add shims to is this part. I don't know if you can see this, but the screw retention holes aren't exactly lining up. So I'm gonna add 1 or 2 of these shims to this emitter. Okay, last thing I'm gonna do is just add some grease to this part here. This is an important junction right there because that's where our electronics are. So if we ever need to change our electronics, we need to make sure to get the pieces off of this part right here. And maybe I'm adding too much of this. A little bit goes a long way. That little accident just gave me an idea, because I just realized, why am I going to alter my emitters here when I can just remove some length directly from this part? Yeah, I should have realized that these were removable, because I have seen these. Oh, okay, see, that's the problem right there. I didn't see that coming. Okay, so we could work with that. We can work with that. Just give me a second. This LED array is right in there. So let's remove that. Let's remove that screw. It's kind of a delicate operation here. Well, let's go ahead and remove this part too. Problem is that's got all of our shims on it. We don't want to lose our shims, so let's rest that over there. All right. Okay, so I didn't realize that this was actually just another one of these parts down here. This part is called a VHC ring, and that's basically the same part as this part down here, if you can see that. And that's about a 1/2 inch. That's the length that we need to conserve so that we can have that 10-inch length. So we're just gonna put this in there. We're just gonna pop this right there. Pop this screw back in there. Oh, okay, this is gonna be hard. Nope, got it upside down. We got it in there. And then now what we do is we just screw that piece in there. Okay, so we screwed it in, but now the only problem is that our emitter is now totally angled in the wrong way. So let's take it out and take out some of these shims. Let's see how many shims we need. Oh, but we can't take the shims out because the wires are in the way. So this is what we're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to just take our, oh, I didn't want that emitter ring to fall off. Put that emitter ring back on there. Take the shims out of there. Because now we gotta figure out how many shims we need. Wouldn't it be funny if we just ended up exactly right where we wanted to? All right, so we're just gonna pop that in there. We're not gonna screw the LED array into place. Oh, we do need to remove this screw or lower it into place or something. Oh man, it's so complicated. So let's just screw this in and see where it lands. Oh, okay, so looks like we just need 1 or 2, and that'll land us in the right place. So this just adds a whole new wrinkle. All right, so we just need 1 or 2 rings. Okay, cool. So we only needed 2, maybe 3. All right, let's add a 3rd one. Those tiny shims seem small. When you want them to do a lot, they don't. When you want them to do a little, they do a lot. Just put 1 more on there. And that's too many. We're just gonna have to go with 2 then. All right, so we got our LED array in there. And success. All right. Now all we have to do is do the same thing to the other side. So now we just gotta pop this off. Yeah, there's some shims stuck to the inside there, so let's take those off. So now we gotta pop this little piece out here. So I don't know how easy that's gonna be. I've got a pair of clamp pliers here. I'm not sure what you call this. Vice grip. That is gonna wreck our paint. Actually, it might even wreck the aluminum underneath. Maybe we do need to protect that just a little bit. I think we got that loosened up. It does seem to have moved, but it doesn't want to move with just my hands. Maybe it was just moving the paper. Yeah, it feels like it's rotating. Did totally shred the paint, but that's fine. Let's undo the screw on the LED. Oh, kind of got some paint lodged in there. Let me get my awl. It's always some dumb thing getting in the way. All right, so I scraped out the little hole, got the screw out, and replaced it with a fresh screw. I'm just gonna slip this in there just so we get the timing right first. No whammies, no whammies, no whammies. It looks like we are gonna need at least a few. It's too bad I didn't discover this whole thing sooner. Let's get that shims on there. Put the LED back in there. Still a little off. All right, so we should be up to 3 now. Am I sure they're on there? Well, it's hard to tell if they're actually on there or not. Okay, that's more or less in the right place. It matches the other one, which is good. It'd be nice if it were exactly level, but you can only do so much. Our saber is looking fantastic. We've colored the silver parts gold. We painted this black part here. We got our emitters going the right direction. I measured our emitters, and they're now under 10 inches, which is fantastic. So now that we've done all that, let's go ahead and work on our blades. For our blades, we're gonna be using our Corbin diffusion material because I think it looks really fantastic. And for the main blade, I got this parabolic tip, and for the side blades, I got these rounded tips. Now I did that because the Saber Legion rules mentions that the cross guard blades should have rounded tips. But the thing is that they recently changed the rules, so that could be a typo or an oversight. I think it's possible that they do allow parabolic tips on those cross guards. I didn't think to ask because we got plenty of material here. I can make more than 1 set of cross guard blades, so it's not a big deal if we don't get it right the first time. So I'm just gonna go ahead and make these just so we can take a look at the completed product. And we got our polycarbonate blades here. You'll notice that these are completely clear. They don't have any diffusion material yet, so we'll have to place that in there just like we did earlier with this blade. So I have an excess of Corbin diffusion material here, and I'm gonna use that to make our little crossguard blade. Now I predict that when we make our main blade, we're gonna have a little bit of extra material also. I'm gonna go ahead and use that excess to make the other guard blade. We'll need a dowel. The dowel needs to have an outer diameter that is smaller than your polycarbonate tube. We're gonna need some Scotch tape, a Sharpie or other marker to mark your lengths out on your tube, and some scissors. And in order to create our crossguard blades, we're gonna need a pipe cutter, all right? That's to cut the polycarbonate tube with. You can get those pretty cheap at Home Depot. You might need a little blade in order to cut the tape on the diffusion material. I just went ahead and used the point on this awl, and then we just unwrap. Ooh, look at that. It's almost like a lightsaber in itself, huh? No, not really. Yeah, remember, this stuff is really annoying to work with, so I'm just gonna go ahead and unfurl it here. Now one end has a tape on it. I'm just gonna put the clean part in the main part of my blade and leave the taped part over there on the excess. So I'll put my dowel, I'm gonna lay it down here. Let's measure off how much we don't need here and then cut off the excess. Now the trick to this is that you actually wanna leave a little bit of space for your tips. Maybe a little less than 1/4 inch. You can't see, I'm trimming it down here at the end. And that should leave me with roughly the same amount of excess as I had before. We'll put that excess aside. I want to roll it up around this dowel. That's going to be a challenge. I don't want to tape the material to the dowel because if I do that, I won't be able to remove the dowel. Maybe what we can do is just tape it very lightly. Very tiny amount of tape. Okay, never mind. All right, let's just try rolling it up. Okay, it's kind of working, Oh, but I let go. Okay, this is pissing me off. I don't remember how we did it last time. I don't know where all this hair is coming from. Oh, we got little f***ing dust particles in there. God damn it. That's bad. So I don't remember how I used the dowel last time. Oh, f***. God damn it. Why does this thing keep coming back? Wasting so much time. Back to the f***ing tape. Everything is picking up hair. I don't know where the f***ing hair is coming from. My solution is that you just kind of have to work this material and make sure it's free of dust. Dust loves to f***ing cling to it for no f***ing reason. Well, actually, the reason is static electricity. You work it enough, eventually it'll be pliant enough to wrap itself around the dowel. It might take a minute. Oh, there's a f***ing hair in here. You don't want a hair in your lightsaber. That's just friggin' nasty. Now, if you have some compressed air around, that's probably helpful. Wrap it up nice and tight. And you just pop it in there. And this isn't recording. I'm not doing it again. Oh, there's a little particle in there now. Where are all this hair coming from? There's particles everywhere. I have to do it again. The little particles trying to sneak in there, stealthy-like. Oh, that might be a scratch. At a certain point, you just do more harm than good. It helps if you hold the dowel in the center, because the hardest thing is to get the material to kind of wrap under itself. Keeps wanting to just like spring out. I don't know how to get this last part even. Having it tapered makes it easier to get in the tube there. And then as you release it, it just kind of evens itself out. And then hopefully, if you've done everything right, your dowel will just pop out. Ah, that should be easy. That would be easier if I were more practiced and more skilled. I'm stupid and I get mad very easily. So I don't care if there's hair in it now. I just don't care anymore. All right, so we've got our parabolic tip. Don't forget to peel your little protective film off the reflector here. Nice, beautiful, pristine, reflective material. Okay, so in the past, I used just the regular clear Gorilla Glue. I used it in one session and the tip immediately flew off. I feel like the gel glue is just a little bit flexible. Now, I can't really confirm that theory because ever since then, I've been very careful to tape my tips, and I believe it's the taping that actually keeps them snug. I'm just gonna go ahead and wipe this off real quick. That glued quickly to my glove. I'm gonna set that upside down to dry. I don't necessarily want the diffusion material to glue in there, so I'm just gonna lift it out a little bit. I'm setting it upside down now so that the weight of the tube helps it to bond with the tip there. So I'm just gonna let that dry for now. And I just figured this cool little trick out that if you ever need to pull this out for any reason, you can. You just need to put little pieces of tape in strategic places. And then when you pull it out, it keeps its form, it keeps its circumference. In this case, there was a little hair that was all the way up here and I pulled it all the way out and I had to tape it like 3 or 4 times. I initially left the tape on there, but I decided, that looks kind of ugly. So as I'm pushing it back in, I'm pulling the tape off again, all right? Because the tape doesn't really look all that good illuminated from the inside. And then now we can just pop that back in there. So let's go ahead and just do our other blades now. So this is our full 40-inch polycarbonate tube here. And we're gonna be cutting this. Now the first way we're gonna cut this is we got our excess material here. All right, now we're just gonna roll that guy up there. Don't think we need the dowel for this, although I could be wrong. This is kind of tricky. All right, 8 inches, almost exactly. And what's good is that the little bit of extra 1/4 of an inch at the end is gonna leave space for our tip. And that's probably a good idea to take the diffusion material out there at this point, but I don't want to. It was a pain in the ass to put it in there the first time, so I'm not gonna bother. Now I'm setting up my line. All right, so now I'm just gonna tighten this puppy up here. Should be scoring it now. Now I'm gonna tighten it some more. I'm gonna try and keep that scoring in the same place. As you tighten it, you can hear the blade cutting through the material there. Okay, seems like we got some breakage. There we go. All right. Okay, so we've got our tubes here that I cut off with this large one. So I guess now what we've got to do is just stick that diffusion material in there. Remember, you want your diffusion material going across, around. Like you want this, you see this cross section here? You want that go wrapped around the blade because that is what is creating the polarization effect. You know, I haven't tried putting it in the other way and seeing how that works. Oh, there's dust in there again. Why is there always dust in there? Never ending. Piece of Stop moving around. You don't have a will of your own. Stop it. Of course, wouldn't be complete without the hair, would it? The mysterious space hair. I keep seeing a particle right there at the top. I'm realizing that some of this is the paint that I fished out of that hole earlier. I don't know if that's ironic or just a bummer, i.e. that ironic song by Alanis Morissette. It's crooked. Base that the world's worst gameplay loop. Rolling up the film. Dust. Thing falls off the table. Could never make it as a cigar roller. Alright, so we got our blades. They're the same size. Good, good. That would be a kick in the pants, wouldn't it? They were a different size. Here's the payoff, guys. Here's where all our hard work comes to fruition. I'm gonna go ahead and pop these all the way in. You know, one thing I actually didn't take into consideration is the excess blade length. Now, I mentioned to you how the Saber Legion has a rule that metal can only extend 10 inches total from the center line, and that means 5 inches on one side and 5 inches on the other, and of course they both have to be the same length. But what I didn't mention was the excess blade length. You've got the 10 inches for the metal. Now, the metal part does not have to be 10 inches. It can be less than that. 10 inches is just the maximum. But for the blades, anything that goes past 10 inches is considered excess guard length, and that excess guard length goes to your total blade length. You have to subtract that from your total saber length. I think the maximum length blade you can have is like 39 inches or something. We'll get to that later. Right now, I just want to see the gloriousness that is this blade. Let's just pop these blades in there. Probably could Dremel these some more. There's having a little trouble getting in there. All this work just to get stopped on the 10-yard line. Okay, well, the emitters did a good job of chopping the excess plastic off. For the main blade, we're gonna do something a little bit different. Okay, I'm not gonna use those blade retention screws. I'm gonna use thumb screws instead. Although I have been finding that thumb screws kind of don't work as well. But then again, a lot of the sabers I've been using feel like they don't have enough screws. For instance, my Saber Forge Sentinel only has one blade retention screw hole. I feel like that's really not enough. So I don't know if it's the saber necessarily, or if it's the screws. Maybe these thumb retention screws don't work so well. The reason I like the thumb screws is because they allow me to rapidly change the blades. Changing the blade is kind of a chore. It's even more of a chore when you need an Allen key and you're out in the field. That Allen key is really small, and you know, if you drop it, you're gonna lose it forever. The vibrations in the blade really seem to want to unscrew the thumb screws, you know, as you fight. For whatever reason, doesn't seem to be a problem that I have with the regular screws. You know, tell me in the comments your experiences. Do you prefer screws that you use the Allen key for, or do you prefer thumb screws? Alright guys, so this thing is done and it is glorious. So let's kill the lights and light it up. Alright guys, if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and smash that bell. And don't forget our motto, don't be afraid to suck, and I'll see you on the battlefield. Hey guys, so something amazing happened. I took this lightsaber to practice, and you can see I broke it in half.